So the game we'll be playing today is Home, a unique horror adventure by Benjamin Rivers. Now, I don't really know anything at all about this game other than the fact that I had it recommended to me once upon a time, and I bought it on a Steam sale because I'm addicted to those things. And so, yeah, I have it now, and I needed a creepy game to play. So it's under the horror tag. We'll see if that's accurate or not. Hopefully. In the meantime, I would like to thank my new followers, Kaguri Asoka. I apologize for butchering names. I speak deep speech, not Japanese. Yuno Sonata and Super Sad Hot Dog. Thank you all very much for following me. It means a lot. Every little thing that you can add just makes it really. Every person extra gets me a little closer to that Twitch affiliate so that I can start doing fun stuff like rewards and things. For now, let's see. Let me hide down in the corner in the left here for now. I think I'm good there. Maybe get my head a little bigger. There we go. We'll see. Hopefully that doesn't get to be too in the way. Um, okay, I'm going to do a quick pass through and make sure all my technology is actually working. Hey, Darkfire, how you doing, Arlie? Let's see if we can get some spookins going. All right, and okay, let me make some adjustments then. No, that's fine. This game is really loud, and I had to fight with it to make it not blast out my eardrums, which may mean that I accidentally turned down myself in some places. So we'll see how that turns out. Is that a little bit better to hear me with? I hope. A little bit more gain here, a little less there. See what we can do. Tra la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. Okay, hopefully that's good enough. I apologize if it's not. I will make more adjustments later if need be. Please feel free to tell me. If I don't know, I can't do anything about it. All right, so now where'd home go? um, all right, let's see here. Okay. Yeah, I'm still working on getting everything figured out with this. Okay, that's weird. Um, let's. I have to apparently stop the game and start it up again because, of course, I do. Alrighty then. Your game will be saved automatically at certain points. However, we recommend you put aside an hour and a half and complete home in a single setting. Well, okay, so that'll work pretty well for us. Um, let's do this. Turn up the sound, turn off the lights. Can't turn off the lights, otherwise, my little squiddly tentacles will not move. So, it's kind of in a deep, dark corner in the cavern, anyways, so that should be fine. All I remember at that point was finding myself alone. Oh, oh, my head! Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet. A flashlight. Ah, I have a flashlight and I am our little pixel dude here. Okay. I just woke up out of a bed. Creepy place. Yeah, we got some Resident Evil doors here. That house. Where was I? I don't know, dude. Oh, that's not good. There was a body lying on the floor. Who was it? I didn't recognize his face. He was still kind of warm. Okay, so I can get additional prompts if I act with things again. So I'll have to keep that in mind. I didn't recognize his face. He was still kind of warm. Okay. Okay. Warm body is not good. Black cat. Always gotta love the kitties. We got a doorway down, but first rule of the game is always explore all the avenues. Leaky roof. Another Resident Evil door. Bookshelves. Computer. The desk had a computer and some papers on it, and a single drawer. I didn't want to snoop, but do I open the drawer? Yes. Receipts, pens, and a blurry photograph. Looked kind of like a store of some kind. Why did this all look so familiar? That everything? I really shouldn't have been going through this stuff, getting my fingerprints everywhere. Oh dear. Blood on the wall. It smelled fresh and sickening. I realized there was blood on my shoes and my pants. Well, if I'm a murderer, I'm not a very good one, apparently. Oh man, I had to get out of there. I mean, generally speaking, you wake up in these kind of places, the first thing you should do is, get a hold of the authorities, because the longer you go without getting to those authorities, the more suspicious you look. Down some stairs. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg, I wonder? All I could really recall was coming home, seeing Rachel. Okay. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and tried to clear it. I knew I should head downstairs, try and find a way out. Okay, now we're speaking some sense here. But you didn't notice while you were walking that your leg had gone bum? I mean, it's kind of an important note, dude. Oh, mouse. A thin gray mouse is stuck in a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Absolutely you do. Always use humane traps. If you're gonna use a trap that kills, use a trap that properly kills so that the animal experiences no pain. But honestly, no-kill traps are better if you can do it at all. And never, ever, ever use sticky traps. Sticky traps are the devil. Collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use and were caked in damp-smelling dirt. Why weren't they in a shed? I mean, don't you hang up your shovel in the middle of your living room? I found a picture of a couple. It looked like it'd been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Do I press the switch? I mean, you might as well ask me if I want to press the big red button. Yeah, I push the switch. It depresses smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Something must have opened somewhere. Oop, that's my microphone in my head. I should watch out and not do that. Slowly. There's bookshelf. The shelf was full of books on local history and hunting. Seemed like the owner of the house really knew the area well. An old dining table covered in dirty dishes for 2 people. There were dozens of beer cans and other liquor bottles among the dishes. The smell was turning my stomach. Nothing like stale old beer. A black and white photo. Looked like the man upstairs and his wife, I guessed. There was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Of course. I slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. Back through. And going downstairs. Oh. Okay. Noises. Door was taped up and seemed to be stuck. By the smell, I guess it led to the kitchen. I don't really have a sense of smell. No nose. But yeah, it comes up occasionally especially when it comes to cooking. The switch in the wall appears to have unlocked the door. Oh, so this is the door I would have been told forget you about. Before we go that way, I'm going to finish exploring. And the tape is off that, which is worrisome. I looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn, and there was mud caked all over my shoes. The bathroom was spotless. Everything had been wiped to a sheen. I wonder if it was the man's wife who did the cleaning, or him. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. Treetops. Not narrowing much down here. Can't be expected to do so in the first 10 minutes, I guess. The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. Are you allergic to work, my dude? Shove a few things out of the way. I'm gonna check here before I check in the taped room, because that seems like bad to me. Okay, I'm definitely not going underground until after I've checked out the probably a bad idea door. There were sheets of paper all over the kitchen table. It looked like a series of names were written down, but were too smudged for me to read. I could only make out a few of the notes. Keycard, Ocker, last one, I promise. Didn't make much sense at the time. Oh, it's my mousey. No worries, Arlie. I appreciate you just being here at all. Makes me feel a lot better to have someone else, even if they're not there the entire time, to talk to. I just feel silly talking to myself. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I had found a way out. I might have moved it, yes? I heaved the box forward and finally gave. What else am I going to do? There was a ladder going underground where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yes. I looked again at the photo I'd found in the house. The couple looked distant, like they didn't want to be in the same picture. I wondered where the wife was. My leg was in terrible shape, but I had to get out. Footprints in the dirt looked like more than one kind, and a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic from the sewers is kind of weird. Places all over were marked on the old map of the town. The industrial area near the river, various houses, and even the water tower near the old rail station. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait, there were photos. Photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. A work table, covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun. I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? I mean, I'm generally against guns. And this seems like a poor situation to have it, but also video game. So I'm going to go ahead and take it. I tucked the small handgun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. It was so dark down there, and the air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? Some kind of homemade rack, slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The labels were worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. That's not uncomfortable at all. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there's something coating the bottom. Something wet. Ugh. I hope we didn't have something being corroded away in the cage. That would be really gross. The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old faded paper, covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out, and illegible notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I could only make out a few letters. Alf, Ol, Ro. None of it made any sense to me. And keep going further down, because, most basements have 3 stories to them. Some kind of old boxes. They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute, these boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remembered throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing here? Mouse? Oh, bats. I remembered noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. Alright, we'll come back to the broken ladder in a bit. Okay, I'm hearing whispering. Don't know if you can hear that because it was really quiet, but there's a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Definitely. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend. And that's a skelly. I had the rope now. There must have been a use for it around somewhere. I feel like I'm going to check just in case there's a hidden usage for this rope. I don't think there is, but, I might as well look. Yeah, no, I'm not going back up additional stories, though. That's too far back. The rope I found would have let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yes. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out. Danger due to cave-in. And I'm not going to follow that advice, because I don't really have a choice in the matter. Oh, well, that's creepy and loud. I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least I thought I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, it had been used already. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there. An exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe someone crawled through there, but it was so high up that it must have been a sore landing. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, and there was grass smeared within it. I could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? Water, maybe? Exit with a bunch of arrows pointing at it. A kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? I mean, I shouldn't get fingerprints on it, I don't think. And I've got a gun, so I don't need the weapon. I still had the old handgun. I wasn't sure what good a knife would have been. Yeah, I'm not touching possible evidence. Oh dear. The door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. I wasn't sure what those valves were for. Did I turn it anyways? No. I left the valve alone. Randomly turning valves that are connected to very large pipes seems like a poor decision. I'll probably have to come back through here, but in a game where they try and make a point of consequences of actions, I think messing with large pipeways would be without any clues to what I'm doing would be a bad idea in general. Let's try that ladder I saw before we go out the exit. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bags. There were rips and tears in most of the bags. What looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? Yeah. I wasn't sure what I hoped to discover with the tape, but I took it anyways. Oh, big stretch. Alright, let's try an exit. There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Okay, so that's our 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, right, musty smell door. And behind door number 1, it's a valve. Thought I could turn the water valve to shut off this flow. Did I turn it? I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yeah. And number 3. Thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yes. And finally, I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yes. Still locked. Still musty smelling. Okay. what's up here. Any use. Turned off all the valves. Kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it make me sick. Didn't even want to touch it. No, I'm still not picking it up just yet. Give one more pass and then I'll assume that there's got to be something that the knife unlocks. No. Orange. I wonder if the orange and red pipes are a clue of some sort, but it doesn't really give me much info to work with here. Oh, I must have missed 3 somehow. Turn it off. Valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Oh. Valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Looked like I turned off the water flow in this valve. Okay, so I'll have to check the others. It's a bit of an odd thing to do to a guy, but hey. Thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Looked like I turned off the water flow in this valve. Double check number 1 here. Looked like I turned off the water flow in this valve. Okay, that should do it, I would think. Bit of a cheeky trick. Down the ladder even further, looked like the water drained out of that grate in the wall. There was a small metal key left floating in the shallow pool of rancid water. Did I take it? Always take keys. In video games and in real life. Always take keys. I pocketed the small key, but it was so odd-shaped, I had no idea what it might be, or what it might open. The door was locked. I could see a faint light within. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? We go. I found another dead body, a sewer worker. He was a mess, but he looked like he'd been stabbed. I could see a key ring that had fallen out of his pocket. Did I take it? Always take keys. Worked up the nerve to snatch the key ring away and put it in my own pocket. I, frankly, am just fine with not having the knife that killed that guy on hand. There's a hint of fresh air here. I must have been near an exit, but I wondered, what did that key I found on the sewer worker do? And what was on that videotape I found? This must have been the other end of that ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past that flooded room with this. I felt the weight of the gun as I limped up the ladder. Why had I really taken that weapon? For protection? Or was there some other reason? I wondered what was on that VHS tape I found, or in that locked room. Should I have gone back to check? Oh, right, I got keys. My shoulder found the top of the passage, and fumbling around, I felt a heavy latch. I popped it, and as I lifted the heavy lid above my head, breathed deeply. The disgusting aroma of that sewer gave way to the dank scent of pine trees. I don't suppose you're going to let me go back, are you? Lid had fallen on the entrance there, and was stuck shut. Yep, nope, no going back. I thought I saw eyes back there. Owie. Did not like that sound. Oh, hey, a ladder. An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended so I could climb it. Did I extend the ladder? Oh, yeah, sure. Popped the latch and brought the ladder down. Alright, I'll go explore up the water tower. Oh, hey, it's the bats. In a patch of smeared dirt and grass, there was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? Sure, it's my wallet. The wallet is missing its contents, including any cards or ID. It was worn, but light, made carrying the gun around seem more awkward. Where were my driver's license and credit card? From the railing, I could see over the woods and down to the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. I tried the little key I had fished out of the murky puddle in the sewers. It fit, and I heaved open the rusty door. The wind was picking up a bit. The night air had become strangely chilly. The old train station was quiet as a tomb. The only sound was that of the increasing wind buffeting the decrepit structure. Decrepit is right. The ancient ticket booth was falling apart and covered in dust and grime. Stacks of paper lined the counter, faded remains of old schedules and reports. Among the papers were newer-looking sheets, covered in scribbles and illegible notes. Come to think of it, the man in that house had kept similar scribbles hidden on his bookshelf, and he had notes on the water tower outside, too. I guessed he could have been coming here, but why? What was he using this old station for? Apparently nothing more this way. An old map encased in glass hung on the wall. It was the train routes connecting to that old station. As I looked at it, it seemed familiar. Of course, the map I found in those tunnels had similar locations marked, and the notes I found on the other man's bookshelf. His notes mentioned the water tower, and even this train yard. What was he doing, coming back here? The old train was ripped open, and hanging from a shred of metal, as well as the broken fence, was a dark, stained patch of cloth. It looked synthetic, like some kind of outerwear. Inside the train's shell, I could see a few faint impacts, like wounds. Could they have been bullet marks? Was somebody shot here? The ground was well worn, though I couldn't really make anything out. I realized I was touching the gun I had found as I thought. Yeah, I'd be nervous too, man. It's getting colder out there, and I had to keep moving. Okay, but not giving me any other options here. So I guess we're going back of this way. Right. New door. I'm really not appreciating that squeaking. It's killing my ears. This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on that map I had seen. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here, the sign pointed to various campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. Oh, I didn't expect that to be a, trampled into the dirt and grass was a plastic card of some kind. I brushed it off and was surprised to see it was my credit card. I wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did I take back my credit card? Yes. I pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license, too. Guess that's what we're searching for. Through the fence, I could see a dilapidated outbuilding. I wondered if I could find my way around. There was a fire pit there. It was still a bit warm, and a few embers still burned at the bottom. Was someone else here out in these woods? Why did they abandon their campsite? Remember, kids, always stir the embers until they all completely go out, and then, if possible, bury them. 2 folding camping chairs were on the ground. One was knocked over. There were a couple of cans of beer spilled on the ground. Party foul. The cheap dome tent slept 2 people. I shone my flashlight inside and could see some bedrolls, 2 backpacks, and a cooler. Felt like if I kept rooting through the campsite, someone would walk in on me. Oh, that's not great, but I'm going to keep exploring here, see if I can find my IDs out and about here. That's where that leads to. The warm picnic table stood within a circle of trees like an altar. It was covered in faint markings and carvings from who I assumed were previous campers and hikers. The path ended in a cold-looking river. I wasn't sure if it was safe to cross like this. Did I cross it? I'm gonna regret this, but yes. Two bodies, 2 young women, were half dug into a hasty, shallow grave between the trees. The younger-looking one was still face up, her dead eyes gleaming against my flashlight. They deserved better than this. Did I clean up the gravesite? This seems like a really bad idea, but I have a personal thing about leaving bodies uninterred or untaken care of. I tried to cover them a bit more, and I closed the younger woman's eyes. I fashioned a crude marker. Seemed better than leaving them the way they were. Yeah, again, I know that's going to make me look like a serial killer later on. Were these girls the owner of the campsite? What were they doing way out here? But I have a big personal thing against leaving bodies out like that. Did I wade back over to the other side? Yes. I think maybe it has something to do with how many cultures make it a point that leaving somebody's body out like that is detrimental to the very soul of the person. I don't know. I'm not big on that kind of stuff, but perhaps. Alright, looks like we're going to the outhouse. That's the only thing left. Bunch of no's scrawled on there. That can't be great. Grimy sink had a small patch in it that looked almost clean. There wasn't much in the way of clean water there, but the sink did the work. There was a damp-smelling plank leaning against the stall door. I might have been able to cross the river with it. Did I take it? Sure. I managed to carry the plank under my arm so it didn't get in the way. Hooray for pockets. The stall was covered in dirt and filth. This washing room obviously hadn't been cleaned in a while. Covered in dirt and filth, obviously hadn't been cleaned in a while. Huh. The plank I found was long enough to form a crude bridge, but I wasn't sure if it would hold. Did I use it? I don't need to, but... Here. I almost wish I had paid more attention to those crazy scribblings. Maybe I would have been less nervous about entering that dark forest. That wasn't me. There were some personal effects shoved back into the rock. Wait, there was a notebook there too. Did I read it? Yes. Inside the cheap dollar store notebook was page after worn page of names and lists. None of it made sense. The newest page contained several names. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose, Rachel. Rachel? Her name was last on the list, and had a mark beside it in blue ink. The names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, and Rose had also been crossed out, but these marks looked older and more fainted. That's not good. this list, and why was Rachel's name here? I had to get home. And we have our name drop. Tragedy unlocked. The sign was the same as the first one I had seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. So we can move on. I had finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I would never want to return there. I didn't find the ID, so... Forest started to thin out a bit, and through the trees I could make out the parts of the town beyond, and the first hints of lights. The mysteries of that forest were behind me, but I could still feel them on my neck like a warm breath. Those girls I had found. Someone had taken them from their campsite and murdered them. Was it the same person who had left that odd notebook? I was even more eager to get somewhere safe and to find a way to reach Rachel. As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. It's never just the wind. Well, that sounded promising. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. The door was locked shut. There was a little electronic box underneath the handle. A sign was pasted to the front that said, "Danger, closed for repairs." There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear, and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. Locked tight. Seemed to be connected to the power box besides it. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys who had worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Norman took over a general store after the factory closed. He, Rachel, and I would get lunch every now and then. Rachel liked him because he seemed more positive despite the setback. I don't think I could say the same about me. Okay, just repeating there. Just wanted to make sure. A power panel. Looks like it was shut off. Did I press the switch? Pull the lever, Crunk. The power panel still wasn't working. Did I try it again? The open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out, and the face was unrecognizable. Oh, that's never good. Power panel. Looks like it was shut off. Do I push the switch? Panel seemed to be working again. Weird. Okay. Fine by me. Shut tight. There's a rusty-looking card slot on the side. Our old break table, the layer of dust and grime only made seeing the sting more. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented, like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked here. Another panel that I hoped could help me get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Great, this one was working. A utility shelf, crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? I can always use a hammer. I took the hammer. I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? Absolutely. Pull the lever. Pull it again, Gronk. Power panel still wasn't working. Did I try it again? Oh, well, that's weird. Another panel that I hoped could help me get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Power panel still wasn't working. Did I try it again? I think that gets me power at least. I struck with the hammer. The old wooden boards came apart easily. After I removed the planks, I left the hammer on the floor. This was my locker, there in the factory. Stank of booze. There was a picture of Rachel on the inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I had taken that picture home when the factory closed. The floor was littered with old liquor bottles. I wonder if that man in the house had something to do with this. He sure had a lot of alcohol at his place. Here, this room was nothing but bad memories. Wait a minute, if the power's restored, then the doorway, I think it was on this level, should be open? The key card I found seemed like it would pass through this reader. Did I use the key card? Yes. I slid the card through the old reader, and it turned the handle. There was some kind of ventilation hatch here. It looked like I could jump down to the room below. My leg hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? No. I was too chicken to jump down that broken ladder before. Why do it now? There had to be another way. Alright, so I'm looking for something. The door had somehow locked itself again. There was no keycard slot in the side. Some kind of ventilation hatch there. I'm going to be forced to jump down, aren't I? Oh man, my leg hurt like hell. There was a crumpled up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily, and it was hard to make out. Did I try to read the letter? Yeah. Most of the letter was violently scratched out with what looked to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out was need to, just don't, drinking, need, Norman. Who was Norman writing to? My money is that we're actually a alcoholic. We blacked out. That room at the top of the plant, the one with all the bottles, it was really getting to me. Maybe I was just distracted. Who went up there and used that room? As I exited the factory, I didn't recognize where I was going. My head ached terribly, and my leg was a mess. I did go through the locked bits up behind me. Okay, so no going back. Sixth day. Through the chain link fence. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food and slick, black bags. I saw a thin, greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license. Looked damaged. Did I take it back? Yeah. I cleaned the card off as best I could. Looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to find my credit card. And now this. I tucked the card in my wallet next to my credit card. It sounded like it was going to start raining again. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet, except for the faint sound of a television. Entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. Looked like I couldn't just pop it open. I needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. Ugh. That's generally a problem. What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on the rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was that doing here? A speck of something dark and wet stained one of the sleeves. Oh dear. Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. Then a gun I had found seemed to match the others there. The handgun was Norman's. What the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? Yes. Carefully pushed the piece back into place. Felt a great burden lifted. I'm gonna regret that later. Maybe I won't. That was blood. TV set still flickered some indecipherable channel. Oh no, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserved better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? Yes. I closed his eyelids down, shuddering as I did so. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace, or I just couldn't stand to think anymore about what was going on. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't want to dig through that mess, did I? Sure. Found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. The usual things. Postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. register was mostly empty. A fat stack of traveling magazines sat alongside it. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. Must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. And a quick hydration break. Excuse me. Norman was dead, but I had no idea why. Was he involved in this somehow? Or was he just another victim? That gut I had found only seemed to complicate matters. Such a relief to finally be rid of it. Home wasn't far off now. Even though the rain was relentless, I had to keep going. Locked. This wasn't the right gate. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Helpful. The neighborhood's local postbox. Letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I take a look at the letter? Yeah. There was no return address, but the envelope was addressed to Norman. Carefully, I tore it open and looked at the letter inside. It read, "Stay away. She's mine." That was it. No signature. No other information. Yeah, totally murdered everybody in a drunken rage. Wrong gate. This one was locked. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. I remembered having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday or sometime before? The door to the basement. It was locked. Where had I put the damned key? There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long I had been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked it up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill in there. Did I open it? Ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? The front door was locked from inside. I couldn't go out, though. I needed to see if Rachel was here. Man, guy has a 3-story house and nice steaks. I had found the last missing piece from my wallet. The old photo of Rachel and I stared back at each other, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyways? Of course. I replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I'd got a part of my life back. Still, the image had made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? As you drunkenly murdered her. Our television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterwards. By then, it was too late. Yeah, you can't regret big purchase that happened before sudden job loss. Otherwise, you'll just tear yourself up. You can't know the future. I mean, I'm an eldritch being. Sometimes I do, but I still don't tell anybody. The door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. Can I? No, I can't. I can't mess with sounds or anything here. Yeah. Turn that further down because that's hurting my ears a little. Ear does not like having to do too many things at once. Apparently, this game does not like you all tabbing away. There we go. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I looked more closely, it looked like the man in that house had some of the same books as I did. There was a suitcase on the bed. It was Rachel's. I remembered it from that trip we took out west. Did I open the suitcase? Wasn't sure what to make of the suitcase's contents. Inside were a few days' worth of clothes, some toiletries, and a train ticket. Where was she planning to go? Our hallway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. Oh yeah, dude, you definitely killed her. Our sink, which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't gotten around to fixing it yet. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful old clawfoot bathtubs. Those are nice and big usually, but I always worry that I'm going to slip and kill myself getting in and out of them. My laptop had been left on, and only a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of my desk. Did I take it? Yeah. I pocketed the key. The laptop was warm. It had been running for a while. Try going to the basement now, I guess. I unlocked the basement door. There were old Christmas decorations in the box. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take the key? I took the small key, tried to remember what it unlocked. Wasn't there a door upstairs that had... There were old clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. I had put up with this divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break through if I had found something heavy enough. Okay, so I'm on a mission to find something heavy. Good to know. Back through here. Okay, that's the back door. Alright. Grimy key I'd found in the basement unlocked the door. It looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I need to take the crowbar? Yes, that's how we opened the divider. I lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated its weight. Okay, back downstairs. Did I break through the wall with the crowbar? With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a hole large enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down here? Was she okay? Don't look. Warning me, don't look, because it's totally her, murdered. Filthy looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile, to see what lay within, but I knew I had to. I had come this far. After all this searching, after all I had seen, when I looked within the rags, did I finally find my Rachel? No. The rags were wet, matted, and covered in dirt and grime, but inside that tattered mess was no sign of my beloved wife. Rachel wasn't here. I looked around in confusion, trying to figure out what to do next. She wasn't there. Where was she? What I had been searching for this entire time. I remembered the look on Rachel's face when I came home. Didn't I? Then the awful realization hit me right in the gut. I'd been looking at this the wrong way, hadn't I? This is what you've been trying to tell me all along, isn't it? I couldn't find Rachel there, and I won't find her anywhere else because she was never there at all, was she? I stumbled back upstairs, the pain in my leg just to dull the ache down, and sat down in my bedroom. My mind was spinning, and the ache I felt before was near crippling. Finally, I could no longer fight the exhaustion. As I tried to grab hold of something that would make sense of all this, I must have drifted off. Achievement unlocked. I'd like to remember things my own way. It's my wallet with its contents intact. Either I dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again. Maybe somebody stole it from me. Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. Was I at those places before? Yes. I didn't see how it could have happened any other way. I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. But what does that mean? I guess these books were all actually mine then. My head was pounding. There, that was decided. The old photo of the man and his wife still rattled me despite being faded and dirty. I thought I had seen mentions of us in those tunnels, but was I wrong? What was that man up to? Did I think he was responsible for making me wake up in that house? Honestly, I don't think so. I didn't think so. He was a victim too. He was already dead when I came to. It was the key card I found in the factory, the one that allowed me to slip through that door. It seemed to me that it was probably Norman's, but that was true. What was he doing back at the plant? Did I think Norman was going back to the factory? Yeah, must have been him. He must have been using the old locker room. The laptop had finally run out of power. The dirty, faded glass, I looked like nothing more than a faint shadow. I used to tell myself that Rachel was the one who wanted to keep the tub. Very strange. In the shards of that broken mirror, I could see my face, gaunt now, hollow and sickly, and immediately troubled. What other illusions had I dreamt up? What other truths were waiting to be exposed? My old office safe sat on the floor. Used a digital passcode lock. Did I try to open it? Safe uses an 8-digit code. What was that damn code again? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that wasn't it. Damn, I couldn't remember. I surmised that at least 2 of the names in that musty notebook had been recent victims. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Isis, Daphne, Holly, Rose. Those poor girls I found dead in the forest. Wondered what happened to the other names on the list, or the ones scratched out in the desk in those wet tunnels. Wait, what was that other man up to? Oh, what was that other man up to? Ah, come on. I thought maybe the names might be a cipher, but I'd have to actually like look them over to figure that out. It was the letter I had taken from the postbox. It had gotten a bit wet in the rain. Somebody had obviously had it out for Norman, but who? Oh no, Norman. If I was wrong about Rachel, then what about him? Did I kill him? No, I didn't. I couldn't have. I clearly wasn't seeing things correctly, but no, I could never do something like that. That note wasn't for me. I still had no idea what was on that tape I found in the garbage. If only I had found a way to watch it. I had that old TV for so long, I didn't know if I could ever replace it. Didn't we have a big TV just a few minutes ago? Seemed like I had seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back into the basement. Maybe there wouldn't be anything for me to find, but I had to take a last look. The wall was cracked and pitted. I was told by an inspector the basement had been partially filled in before I bought the house. But by the look of that wall, I was going to need to fix the foundation. Everything smelled musty and old down here. The pile of mail on the floor I now saw was addressed to me. Bills, credit cards offer, and a letter from the bank. They were all addressed to me. That was it. With Rachel gone, I couldn't stand to be in that house a moment longer. Did I leave and say goodbye to that nightmare forever? No. Didn't deserve to go. Not just yet. I want to check the back kitchen area. Definitely feel like we're missing things. Must have locked the door. There was no reason to return to the backyard anyways. I guess that's it. That was it. With Rachel gone, I couldn't stand to be in that house a moment longer. Did I leave and say goodbye to that nightmare forever? Yes. Since I had arrived in town, things have been difficult. Working in the plant, though, had been good for me. Kept me in line, gave me something to do, and helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. Drinking was probably just a way to deal with that. It was almost as if I was trying to beat my brain at its own game. Things stopped making sense sometime after that. My memories of what happened are still in flux. Maybe that was when Rachel came along. This night had been the worst of my entire life. Would it ever be possible to bounce back from everything that had happened? Everything I'd seen? You know, in a way, I almost wish I hadn't even woken up that night. It would have spared me a lot of pain. What had happened to the other man I had found in that old house? Had I killed him? Was that why I was locked in that room? Or did you? What had happened in those dank sewers? I was lucky in my way to even find my way out of there. But I never did find out what was on that tape that I now kept. Considering all I had learned tonight, wasn't sure I wanted to. What I had been doing at Norman's place, or even in that old forest, didn't look good, that's for sure. Had I been responsible for what happened there? What do you think? Was I guilty, or was I just mad? Just for a second, though, think about something else. Thinking about those poor girls I had accidentally discovered in the old forest. The notebook I had found in those woods had names in it. Names I think I saw somewhere else before. It couldn't have been me behind that, could it? I would never do such a thing to such sweet, innocent people. It was clear at least that Norman had been going back to the old plant. Had he been the one to seal up that room? Was he drinking up there, all alone? I thought perhaps he had something to do with that dead guard. But now you've got me all mixed up. I'm not even sure what makes sense anymore. I had to catch my breath, to take it all in. At each point until the factory, things had only gotten worse. But then going to Norman's store, that's where the confusion and doubt started to set in. That's when my perspective on all this really started to change. Oh, Norman, I don't know how you got mixed up in all this, but someone had killed you. My head was a mess. Everything ached and was foggy, so I don't know if you deserved what you got in the end. We were friends once, weren't we? Did you know about all this? Did you know what Rachel was? But as painful as all that was, oh no, I couldn't bear to think about it again. For all I had seen and done, finally coming home was supposed to be the end of this entire ordeal. I had no idea, though, that it was only the beginning. The silence in the house was when I first stepped through the kitchen door. That should have been my first clue. To think that I went through all of that, completely unaware of what I would discover. Did you know before the end? Did you mock me when you finally showed me the truth? You don't know what it's like to have everything ripped away from you in a heartbeat. How could I possibly go on, not knowing what to do? Without Rachel, even the thought of Rachel, I was truly lost. As the door swung open, I could smell the damp grass and the closeness of the air. After everything, felt like I had more questions than answers. You made me see the truth, I'll give you that, but now I was completely lost. You took away that only thing that had kept me going. I was sure word would get out, and soon enough the police would come looking for me. What then? Would you be there to show me the way? What will I do then? Well, that was a thing. Slipping away achievements. Okay, so that was Home, a unique horror adventure. I get a strong, distinct feeling that I got one of multiple endings there, and I got the weird half, not full ending, but some good things and not others ending, which, is a thing. Huh. Well, gosh, I just don't know. The end. I'm not going to play through that whole thing right now. So, we're going to go ahead and quit out here. Oh, that was a game. That was a thing. Initial impressions. The sound design could have used some help. The repeated noise really started to give me a headache towards the end there. The pixel art was cool. It was really well designed and it had a great atmosphere. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I tell stories and I learned how to tell stories. It's what my degree was in, but it felt like it was trying too hard to make the twist that I felt was kind of obvious from the beginning, and so when I tried to manipulate the twist a little, which it seemed to be giving me that option, kind of messed everything up, and I don't know. I might have to play through it again to really get a feel. It's not, obviously it's only an hour and a half long, so it's not a long game. Probably intended to be played through multiple times if I had to hazard a guess. So, with that in mind, want to keep playing. Let's keep playing games until the 2-hour mark at least. Yeah, we'll keep we'll play some Ring of Pain to pass the time and to get another half an hour in, because 2 hours is a good stopping time. So let me fetch that Ring of Pain up. As always, I have the Twitch integration set, so if you want to throw some art in or vote, you can feel free to do so.